Dinar shift. This is the most critical and urgent broadcast we have ever put out for the dinar community. We need every single person holding this currency to pay absolute, undivided attention from the first moment of this script until the very last word, because the information we are about to share could be the crucial factor that prevents you from a devastating financial loss, safeguarding not just your capital but the very future you have been patiently waiting for. We are currently observing a profound and alarming surge in sophisticated fraudulent activity specifically targeting Iraqi dinar investors, an unprecedented wave of deceit and predatory behavior that marks a new and dangerous era in currency-related scams. This is far more than a simple alert, it is a 2025 emergency mandate for heightened vigilance. The operators behind these schemes are demonstrating levels of aggression, technological proficiency, and deceptive creativity that significantly eclipse anything previously encountered. Over recent months, the internet has become saturated with what appear to be official foreign exchange centers. These fraudulent entities have aggressively infiltrated social networking platforms, private messaging applications, mass email campaigns, and, most disturbingly, have even manifested in temporary physical locations strategically positioned near legitimate, established financial institutions. They are masters of disguise, meticulously utilizing authentic bank logos, establishing websites that possess an undeniable veneer of professionalism, and employing technical, convincing language, all designed to strip investors of their hard-earned money and sensitive personal data. The growing global focus on Iraq's ambitious financial reform initiatives, the ongoing development of its digital currency infrastructure, and the systematic modernization of its national banking sector have inadvertently created a fertile ground for opportunists. These criminals are expertly capitalizing on the hopeful anticipation felt by dedicated investors, propagating entirely fictitious narratives about immediate, early exchange opportunities, complex tier-based access structures, and supposedly exclusive private redemption windows. The widespread discussion surrounding these genuine developments is being cynically manipulated to give credence to their false claims. You may be encountering specialized terminology being heavily promoted online, phrases such as contract groups or FESR, special access codes. These terms are not just misleading, they are weaponized tools employed specifically to manufacture a potent sense of extreme urgency, pressuring unwary investors into making hasty, ill-considered decisions. The scammers are acutely aware that many individuals have been holding the dinar for years, and they are leveraging this emotional investment, knowing that deep-seated desire can compromise sound judgment. They use this knowledge to falsely advertise early exchange appointments, access to non-existent private portals, and VIP treatment supposedly offered before any legitimate, publicly announced rate change is implemented. These entirely fabricated offers are precisely calibrated to induce a panicked rush to action. The methodology is cold and efficient. Once an investor is successfully lured into the trap and transfers currency, money, or sensitive authentication details, the criminal operation simply dissolves, vanishing without a trace, leaving the victim with no recourse for recovering their lost assets or compromised identity. The core purpose of today's comprehensive report is to fully expose and deconstruct the mechanics of these schemes, providing the detailed knowledge necessary to ensure you are never vulnerable to becoming a victim of this evolving financial exploitation. Across the sprawling landscape of social media, including platforms like Telegram, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and even TikTok, criminal syndicates are painstakingly constructing elaborate, multi-layered networks of fake exchange groups. At a superficial glance, these operations possess a disconcerting authenticity, featuring professionally designed banners, consistent and realistic corporate branding, and a vocabulary rich with familiar, credible banking jargon. They routinely present themselves as official representatives of prominent, established international banks or claim to be members of specialized, internal teams that allegedly manage the earliest phases of foreign currency redemption processes. A number of these sophisticated fraudsters go as far as to falsely claim affiliations with influential international banking consortia or even sovereign government agencies. This elaborate pretense is used to coerce investors into willingly submitting highly sensitive documents and information, including full names, photo identification scans, passport copies, and, critically, the unique serial numbers of their dinar banknotes. They feign the necessity of this data for verification of eligibility or regulatory compliance. The chilling reality, however, is that they are systematically compiling vast, illegal databases of stolen identities, which can then be leveraged for further, more extensive criminal enterprises. Other criminals exploit these convincing fake social media groups to aggressively channel investors toward fraudulent websites. These sites are designed to be near-perfect replicas of official financial portals but are constructed with the singular, malicious intent of harvesting personal identification data or illegally extracting upfront monetary payments under the false flag of processing fees or administrative costs. The deceptive nature of these groups serves as the initial, high-trust gateway into the more mechanized phase of the identity and monetary theft pipeline, marking them as a critical point of vulnerability for any hopeful investor. One of the most insidious and technologically concerning strategies observed this year involves the creation of entirely fraudulent websites that bear an almost indistinguishable resemblance to those of legitimate, globally recognized financial institutions. These digital forgeries use high-resolution, convincing graphic elements, expertly copied logos, and polished, professional layouts that are virtually flawless in their visual execution. Some of these sites even feature functional appearing elements, such as fake real-time customer support chat windows, automated email confirmation systems, and even downloadable documents that perfectly mimic genuine banking application and compliance forms. The objective behind these high-fidelity fraudulent websites is straightforward and malicious: to completely deceive visitors into believing they are engaged in an official transaction with a bona fide exchange center or a government-sanctioned financial regulatory body. The moment an investor inputs crucial identifying details, including their full name, home address, government ID number, or specific bank account credentials, that entire dataset is immediately and directly transferred into the control of sophisticated criminals. The speed and seamlessness of this data harvesting operation make it exceptionally dangerous and difficult to track and reverse. Furthermore, these fraudulent websites often incorporate a demand for immediate, upfront payments. They justify this request by claiming the fee is non-negotiable and essential to lock in a favorable exchange rate, process the pending transaction, or guarantee early access to the coveted redemption process. However, the instant this payment is successfully transmitted, the entire site typically vanishes from the web, leaving the victim with absolutely nothing but a significant financial loss and a compromised position. This particular category of digital scam has experienced dramatic growth throughout 2025, a direct consequence of criminals' improved capacity to replicate legitimate financial infrastructure with stunning, convincing accuracy using advanced web development tools. A profoundly worrying trend emerging in the current environment is the aggressive use of sophisticated social engineering techniques, specifically through fraudulent phone calls and deceptive email communications that are meticulously crafted to appear as if they originate from genuine banking establishments. These fabricated messages often flawlessly incorporate the correct official bank logos, adhere precisely to the legitimate bank's formal communication formatting, and utilize professional, convincing language that immediately establishes an unwarranted sense of credibility. In some instances, the criminals employ advanced technology to spoof or falsify the originating phone number, making the incoming call appear to be from an actual, verifiable local bank branch. During these highly deceptive phone calls, the scammer, acting as an authorized bank representative, will confidently inform the investor that their supposed RV exchange window has suddenly become available or that they have been pre-selected for a priority access group. The subsequent step involves the criminal soliciting sensitive personal verification information or requesting that the unsuspecting investor complete an entirely fabricated pre-exchange data form. A common, coercive element of this script involves telling the victim they must remit a modest, small deposit immediately to secure, or hold, their newly granted appointment slot. These telephone-based fraudulent operations are inherently perilous because the criminals are expert practitioners of psychological manipulation. They deliberately utilize high-pressure tactics to infuse the conversation with a powerful feeling of extreme urgency and acute time sensitivity. They may explicitly state that any failure to respond or act instantaneously will result in the immediate and permanent forfeiture of access to a supposed special high rate or cause the investor to miss out entirely on an exclusive, fleeting exchange window. This manufactured pressure is designed to override rational thought and force a rash decision. Perhaps the most astonishing and brazen development in the scam landscape involves the physical staging of fraudulent exchange operations. Scammers are now actively renting short-term, temporary office spaces in high-traffic commercial districts, frequently choosing locations in extremely close proximity to actual, legitimate banking facilities. The purpose is to meticulously fabricate the complete illusion of an officially sanctioned physical redemption center. They employ realistic, professional signage, utilize high-quality printed documents, and even issue counterfeit employee badges to construct a plausible facade of legitimacy. Victims of this sophisticated trap are explicitly instructed to physically bring their dinar currency in person to the temporary location for a purported early redemption process. Upon arrival, they are greeted by individuals who exude an aura of complete professionalism and compelling confidence. The scammers then proceed to meticulously inspect the currency, issue a plausible-looking but entirely fake receipt, and promise the investor that the funds from the supposed exchange will be electronically deposited into their personal bank account within a narrow 24 to 48-hour timeframe. However, the moment the investor departs the premises, the entire temporary office is swiftly and completely dismantled, the criminals vanish without a trace, and the victim is left with absolutely no viable method to recover their physical currency, which has been stolen in a meticulously planned heist. This deeply concerning level of operational sophistication clearly demonstrates that criminal syndicates are willing to allocate significant capital and resources towards staging large-scale, convincing operations solely for the purpose of stealing much larger cumulative sums from individuals who believe they are participating in a legitimate financial transaction. An additional, rapidly emerging fraudulent method involves the creation of malicious mobile applications. These apps make entirely unfounded claims to track a supposed exchange status, verify the physical authenticity of dinar notes, or provide real-time RV updates, sourced from alleged government or official banking agencies. The interface of these applications sometimes features highly deceptive elements, such as imaginary progress bars, countdown timers set to critical-looking deadlines, or official-sounding approval messages, all designed to create a sense of operational reality. The true and profound danger embedded within these fraudulent applications is their covert functionality. Many are engineered specifically to harvest, steal, and transmit users' stored passwords, meticulously track personal data, or illicitly gain unauthorized backdoor access to the legitimate banking applications installed on the user's phone. There have been documented reports from victims who have had their entire bank accounts emptied and drained shortly after downloading and installing these deceptive apps. The scammers often vigorously promote these applications through highly targeted social media advertisements, fake influencer collaborations, or convincing but entirely fabricated news articles, sometimes even falsely asserting that the app is an obligatory requirement for participating in the forthcoming exchange process, which is an absolute falsehood. A critical factor driving the explosive proliferation of these scams in 2025 is the undeniable and visible progress Iraq has genuinely achieved in its modernization efforts across several key sectors. These include substantial advancements in national banking systems, active development of digital currency frameworks, and demonstrable efforts toward macroeconomic stabilization. These tangible improvements have collectively ignited a powerful surge of optimism, excitement, and heightened hope among the global investor base, a predictable emotional state that scammers are cynically and expertly exploiting for maximum gain. The genuine high-level discussions regarding the potential implementation of a digital dinar system, the establishment of more robust international banking connections, and the implementation of stronger, contemporary regulatory frameworks have led many investors to logically conclude that an official, meaningful rate change may be closer to realization than in previous years. The criminal networks keenly observe this palpable optimism and immediately weaponize it as the primary fuel for their sophisticated schemes. They are fully aware that the community is intensely hungry for any updates, anxiously awaiting concrete news, and emotionally primed to act with extreme speed when a piece of information, no matter how dubious, appears to be promising. The scammers deliberately twist and distort these deeply held investor hopes into highly potent bait, actively propagating entirely false claims that the official exchange process has quietly commenced or that only a select, privileged few groups have been granted early exclusive access. This calculated misdirection is not merely factually incorrect, it is exceptionally dangerous to the financial health of the community. The fundamental truth that must be acknowledged is that when any official, legitimate currency change occurs, it will be executed with complete public transparency, extensively communicated, and unequivocally validated by the highest, most recognized financial and governmental authorities globally. Numerous investors have come forward to report receiving unsolicited communications that adamantly assert that tier-based exchanges are secretly unfolding for hand-picked pre-selected subsets of the community. These coercive messages liberally employ highly specific and misleading jargon, utilizing phrases like Tier 4B, exclusive contract rates, priority exchange window, or being placed on a VIP priority list. The scammers construct these elaborate fabrications by skillfully repurposing and building upon old, deeply entrenched myths and unsubstantiated rumors that have circulated within the dinar community for many years, giving their claims a false sense of familiarity and history. In stark opposition to these manufactured claims, no verifiable, legitimate bank or government regulatory agency on the planet operates secret exchange levels categorized by numerical group tiers. These specific, invented claims are designed with the singular intent of triggering a powerful fear of missing out, a FOMO response, compelling investors to impulsively share deeply personal identification data or quickly transfer funds to ostensibly secure or reserve their purported spot in this mythical exclusive queue. The very concept of private exchange centers has been conclusively and repeatedly discredited by financial experts and regulatory bodies. Yet, despite this comprehensive debunking, criminal elements persistently deploy this manipulative concept because it regrettably remains effective as a psychological tool. They understand that a significant portion of the investor base possesses a deep, seated desire to believe they are participating in a special, uniquely exclusive event. However, in the realm of legitimate, regulated financial transactions, there is no credible scenario where private individuals would be directly contacted or prioritized before a formal, widespread, and globally broadcast public announcement has been made by the issuing authority. It is a non-negotiable principle that all investors must fully comprehend legitimate, regulated financial institutions do not, under any circumstances, utilize encrypted platforms like Telegram groups, ephemeral WhatsApp chats, or undisclosed, private email links as their official, primary channels for conducting complex foreign currency exchange transactions. Any communication received that claims to represent a major, established bank via these unregulated, non-standard platforms is demonstrably a fraud. Authentic financial institutions are mandatorily bound by stringent, codified regulatory procedures and are simply incapable of operating outside of established, legally recognized, and auditable communication channels and secure physical branch locations. Crucially, real, regulated banks will never initiate a request for upfront administrative or processing fees, nor will they ever solicit or demand the unique serial numbers of your physical currency notes outside of a verified in-person transaction. Furthermore, they will absolutely never invite you to mysterious, private, or secret appointments in unverified locations. Every single aspect of a legitimate foreign currency exchange process is meticulously conducted through official, secure bank branches or via their verified, officially published websites. No genuine banking procedure involving foreign currency exchange will ever, under any circumstances, take place through hidden web links or via unauthorized back-channel private communication methods. The paramount principle remains: if any individual or entity claims otherwise, their proposition is unequivocally a scam and must be immediately rejected. When the real official exchange process is made available, at whatever future point in time that may occur, it will be characterized by its absolute clarity, complete public visibility, and instantaneous global recognition. Official, formal announcements will be made only through legitimate, verifiable communication streams, including authenticated government agency websites, established international financial news networks, and the mainstream, regulated banking institutions that serve the general public. At the point of a legitimate rate change, all global currency rate updates will be transparently reflected on official international data platforms such as Forex monitoring services, reputable financial news agencies, and the central dashboards of major banking entities. It is only at this point that investors will be able to proceed to their local, authorized, and fully regulated bank for a standard, straightforward foreign currency exchange transaction. There will be absolutely no need for complex tiered list classifications, no requirement for signing secret non-disclosure agreements, NDAs in unverified locations, no reliance on special exclusive codes, and no need for mysterious private appointments. The entire process will be seamlessly managed through the same secure, regulated systems that govern all other forms of global foreign currency transactions conducted by the public. For all investors, maintaining an absolute adherence to reality when evaluating any information encountered online is essential for financial self-preservation. The intense and long-held emotional desire for a currency event to occur can, at times, severely impair rational judgment, making entirely false, unsubstantiated claims appear deceptively believable. Criminals are highly reliant on this precise form of emotional manipulation as the foundation of their success. They structure their entire communication strategy to sound both intensely urgent and uniquely exclusive, strongly implying to investors that they must take immediate, impulsive action or face the catastrophic consequence of losing their long-awaited opportunity. This deliberate, high-pressure tactic is entirely intentional. Its core design function is to deliberately suppress logical and critical thinking, effectively pushing victims into acting out of a primary emotion, be it fear of missing out or a surge of hopeful excitement. A fundamental and undeniable indicator that a communication or offer is fraudulent is the presence of an aggressive, unfounded demand for you to move with unnatural speed. Legitimate, regulated financial procedures are never dependent on rushed decisions and are never subject to urgent, arbitrary deadlines set by unknown, unauthorized individuals communicating outside of established channels. As Dinar Shift continues its dedicated monitoring of the evolving situation, it is paramount that every investor remains proactively informed and committed to continuously educating themselves about established, real-world banking and exchange practices. If you are contacted by any individual who solicits your bank account number, bank routing number, copies of your government ID, passport details, or the unique serial numbers of your physical currency before a formal, verifiable public announcement has been issued, this is a universal, guaranteed red flag signaling fraud. Similarly, any claim asserting that private redemption centers are currently operational should be treated as an immediate, clear warning sign of criminal activity. If an individual or entity initiates a request for any form of upfront monetary payment, irrespective of how small or seemingly insignificant the requested amount may be, this transaction is a definitive scam. No legitimate, regulated financial institution will ever request or demand administrative or processing fees prior to the actual execution of the exchange transaction. All legitimate fees, if any are applicable, are handled with complete transparency and are processed directly during the actual, verifiable transaction at your bank's official premises, never in advance. Investors must remain on high alert and commit their trust solely to information that has been verified, authenticated, and broadcast through official regulatory channels. Over the course of this year, numerous government financial oversight and consumer protection agencies globally have reported a noticeable and persistent increase in sophisticated foreign currency-related scams targeting retail investors. While these agencies are strictly prohibited from commenting on speculative currency movements or providing investment advice, they consistently issue public safety warnings regarding fraudulent investment schemes. These warnings explicitly detail how criminals routinely leverage false promises of unrealistic high returns, fabricate elaborate redemption opportunities, and impose entirely fictional, aggressive timelines to successfully coerce and defraud victims. The public warnings also include specific notes that criminals frequently impersonate employees of official government agencies or senior management from major banks to construct an appearance of absolute legitimacy. Investors must exercise extreme caution and fully internalize the fact that real government bodies and their representatives do not engage in private currency exchanges, do not contact citizens randomly or unsolicitedly to discuss speculative investments, and most certainly do not offer exclusive insider or priority access programs. Any such offer received through any medium is a clear and undeniable indication of illegal, criminal activity targeting your assets. As the calendar progresses further into 2025, the digital landscape is undergoing rapid, profound transformation, a progression that is being fully exploited by criminals who leverage new technology to construct increasingly sophisticated and realistic fraudulent traps. The use of artificially generated synthetic voices, highly realistic, deep fake videos, and intricately detailed digital templates are now actively deployed tools used to deceive and mislead investors with high fidelity, Some of these criminal organizations are even generating entirely fabricated video calls, impersonating senior bank representatives or financial compliance officers with alarming realism. These deepfake, scam videos can possess a disturbingly convincing visual and auditory quality, yet they are, in their entirety, digitally fabricated and completely false. Investors should adopt a non-negotiable policy of avoiding and actively distrusting any unsolicited video communication that claims to offer early or exclusive exchange access, regardless of how professionally or convincingly the impersonation is executed. The core message is clear: advanced technology is a tool that can be maliciously manipulated, and scammers are now fully equipped to use these powerful capabilities to their profound advantage and to your financial detriment. One of the most robust and simplest defenses available to every investor is the established, direct line of communication with their actual, verifiable banking institution. Should you ever receive an unexpected message, email, or call claiming that your specific bank is offering any form of early exchange opportunity, the safest and most effective immediate action is direct verification. Contact your bank immediately and directly through their officially published, verified phone number, or make a physical visit to your local branch in person. Legitimate bank employees are bound to provide accurate, factual information regarding official policies and any operational status changes. If your legitimate bank representatives state definitively that no exchange is currently taking place, then you can be absolutely certain that no exchange is occurring outside of official channels. Banks operate under extremely strict federal and international regulations, and they are incapable of conducting any form of off-the-record or secret transactions. Placing your full trust and reliance on the information provided directly by your own verified bank is infinitely safer and more prudent than trusting an anonymous stranger encountered online, regardless of their claims to speak on the bank's behalf. An additional, highly effective layer of personal protection comes from maintaining an extremely high level of meticulous attention to the smallest details within every communication received. Scammers, despite their sophistication, frequently make small but noticeable errors in their messages, such as grammatical typos using unnatural or stilted phrasing, incorrect email domain formats, or slightly yet crucially altered website URLs. These minor imperfections often serve as key giveaway indicators that the entire communication is not legitimate. You must always meticulously double-check all website uniform resource locators URLs, ensuring they match the official bank address with absolute, precise accuracy. Fraudulent websites are specifically designed to use very subtle variations of the correct web address, known as typosquatting, that look almost identical to the genuine one but are fundamentally fake. Investors should also adopt a consistent practice of cross-verifying all received phone numbers and email addresses by consulting the official, published contact information on their bank's secure website. Never, under any circumstances, place your trust in contact information that is provided to you by an unknown individual, and strictly avoid clicking on any web link or downloading any file sent to you by a stranger in an unsolicited message. All investors must also be unequivocally aware that no legitimate, regulated entity requires the unique serial numbers of your physical currency notes prior to an in-person exchange transaction. Scammers often aggressively solicit these numbers under the entirely false pretense of needing to verify legitimacy or authenticate the notes. However, these serial numbers hold significant value for criminals as they can be illegally utilized to facilitate identity theft, money laundering, or to deceive other unsuspecting victims into believing they are purchasing verified or authenticated Dinar currency. It is a non-negotiable rule: never disclose or transmit your currency serial numbers to anyone outside of a legitimate, authorized bank environment. Reputable, regulated banks will conduct the necessary verification of your physical currency in person, securely on their premises at the moment of the actual exchange, not through an online forum, a private message, or an email exchange. Any individual or organization that specifically requests this highly sensitive information is fundamentally involved in a fraudulent scheme and should be immediately reported to authorities. Another particularly common and deceptive criminal tactic involves scammers offering to personally hold or safely store your physical currency for you, under the guise that they will then complete the exchange transaction on your behalf when the purported time comes. They aggressively claim that by surrendering your dinar to them, you will guarantee a faster processing time, or gain access to supposedly superior or higher exchange rates. However, the unequivocal and dangerous truth is that no one, with the sole exception of yourself, should ever possess or physically hold your currency notes. Physically handing over your valuable dinar to an unknown stranger or an unverified entity is one of the most direct and fastest ways to irrevocably lose your entire investment. Authentic, regulated exchange procedures will always require you to physically present your currency directly to the bank yourself, and no unauthorized third party is legally or professionally sanctioned to store or hold it for you in advance. Protecting the physical security of your currency is an essential component of protecting your entire investment strategy. It is imperative that longtime investors, who have demonstrated years of commendable patience, remain firmly grounded in rational thought and not permit their deeply held emotions to override their logical judgment at this critical time. Scammers deliberately choose to operate and thrive precisely when the investor community is most emotionally vulnerable. Feeling fatigued, deeply frustrated, or experiencing a desperate yearning for a definitive financial resolution, they are intimately familiar with the fact that many investors are clinging to the hope that this year, 2025, will finally usher in the long-awaited financial transformation, and they skillfully exploit this deeply rooted hope. However, allowing powerful excitement or impatience to become the primary driver of your critical financial decisions is the exact pathway through which victims are created and exploited. The real, legitimate currency event, whenever it may officially happen, will never necessitate any form of secrecy, never require illicit advance deposits, and never involve private, unsolicited special invitations. The truth in the financial world is entirely transparent and does not seek to conceal itself. Real, profound financial change is a public, official, and globally undeniable phenomenon that will be broadcast for all to see. We urge everyone watching this critical Dinar Shift report to commit fully to the proactive protection of both themselves and every other member of the global Dinar community. If you encounter any suspicious communications, discover any overtly fake websites, or observe individuals aggressively promoting early, exclusive exchange opportunities, you have a civic and financial duty to immediately report these instances to the appropriate authorities and platform administrators. Actively share these urgent warnings with your family, friends, and fellow investors. The active process of educating others within the community is one of the single most powerful and effective defenses available to disrupt and ultimately stop these criminal operations. The higher the collective level of awareness within the community, the fewer potential victims these criminals will be able to successfully create and exploit. Community vigilance and widespread awareness are critical tools that can collectively prevent massive, catastrophic financial losses and provide essential protection for individuals who may not be proficient or familiar with the ever-evolving tactics of digital fraud. Before concluding today's comprehensive report, we must deliver this essential reminder to every single viewer. Your steadfast patience remains your most powerful, non-negotiable defense mechanism right now. The verifiable financial progress and economic stability initiatives currently underway in Iraq are absolutely real. The ongoing, systematic modernization of their national banking infrastructure is a genuine fact, and the active development of their sophisticated digital dinar platform is an undeniable reality. However, none of these substantial and real-world efforts should be misconstrued or taken as any indication that an official, public currency exchange has currently begun or is imminent outside of official announcements. When any official, verifiable financial change does occur, the world will collectively know. You will not, under any circumstance, require an encrypted secret web link or an exclusive private code. You will not need to secure membership in a clandestine, special access group, and you will most certainly not need to remit any money to an individual upfront. Real, legitimate, and transformative change will be delivered through strictly official, verified government channels, not through shadowy, private messages or manipulative, surprise invitations delivered by strangers. The fundamental, simple truth is that these criminal networks are exhibiting a new peak of activity because they are fully aware that investor hope and anticipation are at a palpable high. Their core strategy is to aggressively strike and steal before the real, official announcements from legitimate authorities are made public. This is the precise reason why you must maintain an absolute state of heightened alertness, remain intellectually sharp, and vigorously protect the financial investment you have made. Do not allow opportunistic criminals to steal the value of what you have patiently held onto for so long. Your future financial security is worth infinitely more than any predatory offer that carries the unmistakable, inherent characteristic of sounding profoundly too good to be definitively true. Be diligent with your money, safeguard your personal and financial identity, and commit to protecting your fellow investors by actively sharing this critical information. As Dinar Shift wraps up this essential special report on the Iraqi dinar situation, our final instruction is to stay safe, commit to remaining fully informed through official sources, and stay thoroughly prepared for a verifiable public event. Do not permit any individual to manipulate or coerce you with completely false and manufactured promises. You must only place your trust in what is official, regulated, and verified. The real, definitive change will be a public, globally recognized event, and when that moment arrives, your financial vigilance will ensure you are ready and fully protected.